Welcome to the Empowerment Show with Melissa Heisler. Every week, discover new personal choices with practical, inspiring guides. And now, here's Melissa.
Welcome to the Empowerment Show. I'm Melissa Heisler, Empowerment Coach at It's My Life, and it is your life. Live it. Today, I will be talking to Kirk Rhoads about social activism and Buddhism. Welcome to the show, Kirk.
Thank you very much, Melissa.
Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm really excited because you have such a varied past that we want to talk about today. You were born in the 1950s in Kansas. How did you learn about and become interested in Buddhism when you were in your teens?
Well, I often wonder that myself. I think that people are inclined to do certain things in life, and I think that I was, even though I was raised in a Christian background, I was inclined along the way to practice Buddhism and eventually get into Zen practice. And so I guess from about the age of 12 to 14, my parents were going through a pretty long, protracted separation and divorce. And so because of that, you feel a certain amount of suffering yourself. So I think it was probably that probably triggered me to develop what you might call a way-seeking mind. And so when that did arise, I started looking for different things to seek help in. And so just ended up at the public library in the small town that I lived in at Coffeyville, Kansas. I think they may have had one or perhaps two books on Buddhism. Then I picked up the one, and it was a revelation to me, and so that's how I got started in it.
It's really interesting that our pain usually is the impetus towards our learning or towards helping us become the people that we're meant to be. Can you tell us a little bit about Buddhism and why that was the answer for you? What about it really relates with you, and how has it changed your life?
I don't know exactly what it was that appealed to me. It's just the whole philosophy itself was appealing to me, particularly when I later, as an adult, I got into the more practical aspect of practicing it. I got into yoga and then the cross-legged meditation. And so I think with other religions, they have some, very helpful things, the prayer and the fellowship, the singing, going to church and so on. But it for me, and I think for a lot of other people, practicing the cross-legged meditation is certainly if not the most direct way to become awakened, it's the most direct way that I have encountered myself. So I think that was the most appealing aspect of it for me, myself. Getting into something that just had more immediacy to it and just felt better for me than other forms of religious worship and so on.
You mentioned that it was the most direct way for you to become awakened. Can you describe what awakened means to you, or what that state of being awakened is?
Well, I could say that, most recently I read a quote by one of the Tibetan Buddhist teachers, Pema Chodron, I think is how you pronounce her name. And so she was describing the diluted mind as being addicted. I know that we all have our addictions that we deal with, whether it's food or substance abuse or whatever. And so I think it goes without saying that all humans are probably addicted to this monkey mind that we have in our mind, this constant discourse we have going on, fueled by the ego and so on. So she described it as, awakening as a process of becoming unaddicted to these things that afflict us in our life. So I suppose if one has had an addiction before, whether it was to food or sex or whatever, and if they've gone through that and they've lessened that, then that is probably pretty close to an awakening experience right there.
Okay, so it's really releasing. I guess so what I'm hearing is, I know a lot of the people that I work with, they turn to addictions because they can't deal with their pain, or they're trying to hide from it, or what have you. And what you're saying is to be awakened is to be able to actually be in that pain or in your truth of what you're experiencing, and not having to depend on or hide in these things that may not be good for us.
Yes, I suppose you could say it that way. I think that I also read one time that they're looking at addiction now as it's a way of self-medicating oneself. And, if you can't seek help from a doctor or, say, a spiritual teacher or whatever, and you're trying to find ways to do it yourself, you will often turn to addiction, in just your way of seeking help from your pain and suffering. And so, it's unfortunate that people who do turn to, say, substance abuse or any other harmful thing to try to treat themselves, too bad that they haven't had the opportunity to find these other things first. Say like meditation or psychotherapy or whatever, and they could cause themselves they could avoid a lot of troubles that way.
Absolutely, and it can be something as innocent. We have the word of comfort foods, so it could be something as innocent as having your mashed potatoes and gravy that can make you feel better, or it could be some of the more detrimental addictions we have. But either way, it's still not really addressing the true cause of our pain and trying to work through that.
I believe that's correct. Yes. Uh-huh.
So you are extremely involved in Buddhism. I know that years later, after you had found Buddhism, you actually studied at the San Francisco Zen Center. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and how that affected your practice?
Well, when you practice with a group in Buddhism, we call it the Sangha. It's a community of people who practice together. You get a tremendous amount of support from that, and so it's very difficult for somebody to practice Zen meditation or probably any other type of meditation on their own. I know that there have been instances in history where, very adept people have done it on their own and have been successful. But, for ordinary human beings, you're better off being with the community, and people are supporting each other, and you're helping each other along the way. And so, when I was there, I made some tremendous friends, and that they're probably the most honest and forthright friends that I have ever had. And so it's just the overall support of the community that you get when you're involved in a Buddhist community like that. It's a tremendous help to your practice.
Absolutely. The support of others, whether it's learning Buddhism or group therapy or just going out and having coffee or tea with your friends, that camaraderie and support can truly help us as we're going on our path.
Plus the fact that they're very well organized, that, when you start out in Zen meditation, the most important thing is to first sit down and start sitting. And then as you go along, you want to start sitting for long periods of time. And so within the group that's very well organized, they organize things they call a 7-day sitting or a sesshin. And so without a group, it's very difficult to do that on your own. During the 7-day sashim, your food is prepared for you, and things are very well organized, and you can, sit for, up to 16, 20 hours a day. And so you can really get deeply involved in your meditation practice that way.
And that's a huge commitment. I know I've written about a few years ago, I went to, I think it's supposed to be a week-long meditation. And I made it through about 3 days and was done. It was just, and it wasn't anything against the practice, or I know there was a lot of people who got out of it. I just would rather stand up and sing and dance than, be in that. To me, it felt more like a restrictive pose, and it could have been, again, the type of meditation that I was learning, or I just wasn't in the right place. But it takes a lot of commitment to be able to sit for, 16 hours and allow that connection.
And if you had imagined trying to do that on your own, you probably wouldn't have even lasted 3 days. It might have been a couple of hours. Who knows?
Yes, no, there would be no way to do it without the support of others. I agree with that completely.
Plus the fact that when you're at an established community too, you have authentic teachers there. So you have the interaction with the authentic teachers, and it's also very important to not only be involved in a community for your practice, but also to have a relationship with an authentic teacher also.
Absolutely. And I think that might have been some of the disconnect for me, was I did not resonate with the teacher of this group. So I think it's really important to have that connection as you're going through it. But I want to talk a little bit. I want to move away from Buddhism, because you had an amazing experience before going to the Zen Center, that you entered the Peace Corps. What led to that decision to be in the Peace Corps, and where did you go? What did you learn while you were there?
Well, I guess it was just another one of those things that I was inclined to do in life. When I went to college, after I finished studying at the university level, it was really the only thing to do. I had a business degree, and I could have gone into the business world, but this was really the only thing that I was really considering at that time. And why that is so, I'm not exactly sure, but I did go ahead and do it. And so I think before that time, I had never really visited a foreign country before, so it was quite an awakening experience, so to speak, for me too, to go to another country. So unlike my own, a third world country. And so when you get to a place like that, you're in a state of shock, but we got over it. And so we got involved in our work that we were doing there, and got to know the people, and got to know got to really love the people and to love the country. I was there as a business advisor for families, primarily men who were mostly farmers, but in order to make another income, they were tailors. And so we got them involved in making tailored shirts with the typical Guatemalan cloth that they weave there. It's very colorful. And so about half of the people, the volunteers in my group, were business advisors. The other half were artistically inclined. So we worked together, and so they were also stationed with other cooperatives around the country. So we worked together with them, and it was quite a rewarding experience.
It definitely sounds like it. And I know that it had to have been just such a change for you to go somewhere. We are so spoiled here in the States with what we have and what we expect, and to go and see how most of the rest of the population actually lives. It is very eye-opening. did this lead to you uncovering your desire for social activism? And what does social activism mean to you?
Well, I suppose it was sort of the beginning of the process anyway. I actually became more interested in social activism, I think, as a byproduct of the meditation. And I think that's one of the beneficial effects of meditation, in that you open up your heart, you open up your mind, and then the wisdom comes forth, and the compassion comes forth. And particularly the compassion, I think, is the thing that helped to activate my interest and involvement in social activism. At the time that I was at the Zen Center in San Francisco, the peace movement was, this would be in the late 70s, early 80s, was pretty active in that we're trying to help bring focus to all the nuclear weapons that were around the world at that time. And so I was involved in some peace marches when I was in San Francisco. And so just one thing led to another, and I've gone, to other issues that I'm involved in, like I'm, active as an environmental activist, not so much demonstrating or going to events or anything like that, but I'm more of an online activist. I'm always spending, quite a bit of time during the day, writing letters and things like that. And so not only the environmental activism, but, human rights. And so on, one thing that I've been particularly interested in recently is the sexual trafficking of minors in the United States. And so I've other than letter writing, I've been more active in that recently.
Yeah, which is definitely unfortunately, it seems, I don't know if awareness has been raised about it or if there's much more trafficking going on. But I just returned from Panama, and there were signs all over the airport to discourage the trafficking. So I don't know. It seems to be very prevalent right now, and it's almost scary in this day and age that seems to be such a vast movement.
There are some things that we have hidden in our closet that come out, like, in the past few years, it's been sexual abuse and so on. And so it just seems like that this skeleton in our closet is becoming uncovered now. And, people are becoming more aware of it and becoming concerned about it and wanting to do something about it. So I'm glad that I became aware of it myself and have been able to help, what little I have been able to help.
Well, and I think that's in the pure form of social activism, what it's all about is being able to help by getting the word out. And when there's more and more people talking about it, there's more and more awareness, and then there's more and more that can be done to stop or redirect things that are not good for the society overall. Do you encourage others to get involved either with some of the activism that you're involved in, or do you think it's important for people to be socially active as well?
I certainly make it aware that I am socially active, particularly on my Facebook account. If some of these groups that I receive messages from, like, for example, with the sexual enslavement of minors, Shared Hope International, I think is a very fine movement. There's a lot of other really fine organizations like the Polaris Project, the Covenant House, and Truckers Against Trafficking, I think, is a very fine organization too. So I get their feed on Facebook. So if there's something that they send to me, and if I find it, very motivational or, revelatory, I will share it on Facebook. And so, there's kind of the fine line. I don't want I want to keep my friends on Facebook, so I don't want to, overwhelm them with all this stuff. But, occasionally I will share this on it, and hopefully, other people have become aware of this and have become concerned too, and they're also acting as well.
And I think that's a really good point. There's certain things that we're all passionate about, each one of us individually that we're passionate about. And a lot of times it can either sound like a broken record, or we can sound like we're attacking others or putting others down. One of my favorite things on Facebook is when they, post, like this if you're against animal abuse. It's like, am I a bad person if I don't like it? Who's really for animal abuse? And so I think it's important when we're trying to share these social issues that need to be improved, that we're doing it in a way that people feel open to getting involved, and that they're not feeling like they're being lectured to or attacked for.
Yeah, there is a fine line. There's no doubt about it, and I'm sure that I try to withhold myself, I'd have to say, on that. But even because of that, I'm sure that people that I've been friends with on Facebook before probably have blocked me or dropped me as a friend or whatever. I don't know, but no, I agree with you. There is a fine line of wanting to make people aware of what's going on and give them a choice, but not make them feel imposed upon, for sure.
And then I know you're also involved with the green tea merchant, and that's kind of your day job. I think all the activism, all your passion is something that's kind of your gift to the world. How does the green tea merchant kind of play in with your purpose, and what's it all about?
Well, after I left San Francisco, I actually went to Japan and lived there for 12 years, and I've always been interested in Japanese and Asian culture. And then after I left Japan with my family to come back and settle in Arkansas, my twin brother, Kent, went over there and pretty much took up some of the work that I was doing there, mainly as an English teacher. And so he's always had a dream of his own to become a merchant. And so it was he who started the company over there. It's an online company, and he lives in a prefecture over there that 40 to 45% of all the green tea in Japan. And so he had started the company, and we became his distributor here in the United States and in Canada. And actually, it was through his efforts that we became involved in the business. But, we feel good about it. The green tea is certainly a nutritious food as well as a healthy food, we believe. And so we offer, organic as well as non-organic teas through the website. So, it's something that we feel good about it. Actually, it's being a part of the green tea business is my wife is involved in it. I'm involved in it. Actually, I'm a registered respiratory therapist, and I work full time as a respiratory therapist, which, it's kind of like being a nurse. You're just involved with other types of drugs and so on. And so I also, feel good about that profession as well. I feel like I'm helping people quite a lot there.
And that sounds like your purpose, whether you're doing it through respiratory therapy, whether you're doing it by helping them get good green teas, or making them aware of some of the issues that are going on in the world right now. You have a gift of giving back, and that's it's very admirable. So keep up the great work. You're welcome. Keep up the great work, and we will definitely share some of the information of some of the groups that you mentioned here. And thank you so much for being on the Empowerment Show today and sharing your mission.
Well, thank you for having me, Melissa. It's been great visiting with you. Thank you very much.
Join Melissa Heisler next week right here at The Empowerment Show. Join the conversation at facebook.com/The Empowerment Show or twitter.com/Empowerment Show.